Giant tracks are a part of Bigfoot research. It's rare to find three-toed tracks. You want to stick around and see this episode of the Bigfoot Researcher's Journal. Okay, so what is this that you got in your hand here, man?
This is a cast, a three-toed cast, and I am not saying this is a Bigfoot cast. I'm not saying there's a Bigfoot out there running around with three toes. We found this in the Ocala National Forest, about 2.5 miles south of the bombing range. We have found 17-inch. This one's a 17-inch. We've got 15-inch. We also got 13-inch. The 13-inch actually has a claw coming out of the toe.
Wow.
So every single one of them has this, what looks like this profile.
That mid-tarsal area.
Yep, every single one of them have that.
Now, did you track this individual so there were other tracks like this?
Yes, this in the area that we had found, we were from here to that structure right there off of the trail, the ATV trail, and we just seen structures and trees down and whatnot. And when we went in there and seen that, we actually tracked this 17-inch print up to an X structure. The imprints went up to the right base of the X structure, and these X structures, they weren't falling over trees. They were stabbed into the ground about 6 inches.
So this is what some tracks can obviously look like. And you know, we've photographed some really large individuals, but we have never found a track like that. And that just goes to show you, man, we don't know everything that's out there.
These X structures, they weren't falling over trees. They were stabbed into the ground.
Right. Mark, he's right here. Mark, he's right here.
We just managed to catch the top of his head. He takes one last peek, then he moves off, apparently on all fours. There he goes. Up high. We moved around the bush to the other side to try to get a better look, get a little deeper in, see if they stopped.
I can't see you.
You could still hear them.
Shine on the ground. Okay, that's good right there. Keep it right there. Right where we can see. Don't put it forward at all. On the ground.
Check this little whistle out.
Stop. Got him.
They were walking and moving off through the brush. I was expecting to see one cutting through, but they were already so far back the thermal couldn't get through the bush. But you can hear them plainly moving off. I don't think they're used to people bum rushing down in the bushes in the dark after them. They were right there. And it took us, you know, probably a minute to a minute and 30 seconds to get into the position where you saw the FLIR footage. And the reason that is we were at the picnic table eating dinner. Deborah and her grandson just sat down, and I was, in fact, having a conversation with both of them about her grandson not believing any of this was possible. Seconds later, a Bigfoot comes busting through the bushes, pushed down this little jacaranda tree, and then, you know, of course, we're like in shock. Deborah says, "Is this staged?" Like, because it was too, like, obviously a Sasquatch not, you know, coming through. And I think they were chasing a deer. There was at least one for sure. Now, when they got back into that back area, Melanie and I heard plainly off in the distance several of them, and we were freaked out, man. Melanie kept insisting there was one right by us, and man, she's usually right about that. Well, she turns the thermal, and she caught the top of its head right there, and then you could hear it moving off, man. It's it's what it is. It was crazy, man, and we were freaked out because this is the last thing we expected. I mean, our expedition for the members, really Deborah, and at this point only one person came, was 25 miles away at least, probably the next day. Like, we were just going to camp out and have a good time, have a couple cocktails and some steak. Next thing you know, boom. So we're in the dark and we're both shaken up, and they were there. There's no getting around that. This is the Jacaranda. You can see where it's split, and it was a complete shock. There are palm fronds that are knocked down and stepped down. You can see them on the ground there. They just came tromping through there. I honestly do think they were chasing.
So we just had a Sasquatch come through here, and I mean, I don't see how it was anything else, do you?
It sounded like one.
It sounded like a huge Sasquatch. Point it out that way. Deborah heard it. We all heard it. I mean, that was ridiculous, wouldn't you say?
God, that was scary.
It was scary, right?
Yeah, I dropped our new coffee cup thing.
Where?
It was in my hand when we started going, and I shoved it in my pocket, and now it's on the ground somewhere back there.
One of the things we've been talking about for about 7 years now, about how they live in the saw-palmettos. And this is one of their like little den things here. Now you could say whatever you want about what can come in here, and of course anything could, hogs, all kind of stuff. But we catch them in here, and you know that the saw-palmettos are like a safety point for them, man. It's thick, it's good cover, and oftentimes when we do investigate in these saw-palmetto heads, we find not only the tunnels like this, but dugout areas with no hog tracks. Curiously, if this was about hogs, you would see all of the signs from hogs. I can almost bet you money that if one of our researchers crawls through here right now, you will not find signs of hog. No hog tracks, but a bunch of holes and all kind of crazy shit down in there. All right, so Rich is gonna go in and check it out. Rich, you need to be real careful.
Snap off some photos.
Wow, look at that hole back in there.
Yeah, it goes pretty far back.
It does?
Yeah.
Like what, 20 feet or so?
There's no rooting. There's a lot of debris, but it's not been moved. You know what I mean? Like
it's not. It's
like
undisturbed.
something's rooting.
Yeah, it's so there's thus far no signs of the hog rooting. But there's definitely enough room to crawl through here if you're on your hands, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How far does it go back?
Pretty far.
Keeps going?
Yep.
I'm gonna film you when you go around the corner. Okay, now, to show you guys what's really going on out here, when we talk about what's going on in your backyard on the Bigfoot Researcher's Journal and how you have no idea, there's a man that weighs 225 pounds crawling around in there right now. Now, if I was all the way back here, hey, Rich.
Yeah.
Do you think you're capable of being quiet while you're in the bushes?
I think I could if I wanted to.
Right, so we can plainly see that a man-sized being can be in there and you'd never even know it.
I'm 5'10", 215 pounds.
Should I throw him an apple?
I know, right? What do you think?
That's one for the team right there. It's wide open in there.
See any broken branches up on the ceiling?
I didn't look up because
Okay.
there's a lot of, it's like a tunnel.
Yeah.
But once you get to one end, it branches to the right, and it branches to the left. And to the left, there's like a hill, a mound, and then it looks like a skyline. Where if I went through there and stood up, I could probably see the field on the other side. But ducked down really quick, you wouldn't see me.
So it's a good hideout.
Yeah.
Hey, what's that? That's not cow.
Ooh,
That's not cow.
that looks like human. Let me check it. So it is interesting that that is right there, outside the entrance of that. All right, I got an entrance and an exit. I got an exit over here.
So being a researcher is all about noticing the little signs, right? And what do we have right there? What we have is a broken branch that used to be stretched across the entrance. It's not anymore. And then just above it is a bigger one. That one's bent as if something's been coming out and broke it to clear the way. Now that's not something you see all the time. This is obvious signs of something coming to and from this saw palmetto head. Hogs don't break branches. Hogs don't reach up and break small little trees either. And that one snapped off too. So what do we have here? We have signs that somebody's coming and going from here with hands. And you got to learn to recognize that and then follow up on it.
What you got going on there, Jim?
Jim had an interesting phenomenon. All day he was broadcasting RF from his skull.
That's the camera. What about your head?
At some point in the expedition,
Oh my goodness.
both his camera and two of mine went dead.
Jim, that was 6,000. It's got to be the camera.
It wasn't. We double checked 10 different ways. It was Jim's head.
Picking up RF. Jim, you have 6 million nanobots inside you
Something.
transmitting RF frequency.
something.
You're being tracked, sir.
Now that you brought that, it's died. Look at.
Watch how when I touch it,
Right around the
nothing happens. But as Jim touches it, it goes off. When he puts it to his skull,
It's all.
we get the highest readings.
Yeah.
6.636 on the tri-field meter.
Right. That's what caught me.
From
is
his
it's
skull.
not supposed to be here.
There's not a tree within. Yeah, he's got
Jimmy's
some-
emitting frequency. Jimmy's live.
Put it up. Put it
Have you been probed?
Jimmy.
Not on purpose. Not voluntarily. That's what I meant to say.
Well, there was that one time we were in Hungryland and our batteries went dead, and like, you know,
There was an initiation.
I wasn't sure if we
process.
were
It was a
missing
little
time
cold
or
out.
anything,
There was
but
an initiation process.
Jimmy was a good little spoon.
so Jimmy is emitting radio frequency.
My brain.
He's got a high
4.
RF reading for some reason. So, but the interesting thing is, Jim, do this thing down here. Watch this, guys.
Hold up. See see that?
He's just
Went to 0.6.
going off over here. Now watch this, guys. I'm gonna take it. I don't get anything.
Nothing.
Nothing. Now, Jimmy, you take
All
it from
my
me.
electrical
Take it from
stuff-
me right
All
now.
of my electrical stuff is awesome.
What are you, vacation in Chernobyl?
Look at that. That went to 1.08.
That's nuts, man. So as we can see, there's differences in RF signal coming off individuals. It could be his watch, could be his phone,
let me
could
try.
be
Wait, let me see.
nanobots in the bloodstream.
Y'all were the litmus test. Let
Completely
me.
off. Let me throw that over there. Let me do it one more time. Now I thought I was completely void of.
Look, dude, it's all in your brain, man.
Buzzing, dude.
That's not the RF, that's the asshole meter.
My battery's dead, and I haven't recorded a single thing. It's been on, but it really doesn't draw that much power unless I'm recording. But it's gone.
So you haven't filmed,
No,
but your battery's dead.
yeah, it's been on just in standby. But
His died too.
The battery's dead completely. See,
Oh wow.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Just shut off.
It just shut off. Yeah.
The proliferation we're seeing here in South Florida is incredible. I had no idea. I'd run around this area my entire life down here. To have actually come to the understanding that we have now, I would never have guessed 7 years ago. Here we're looking at a creature that Melanie and I have regularly caught on film in our creek bed research area. This individual is lightning quick, and to have this much footage of just its face is like an accomplishment that took 7 years. And this is what it is. I mean, they're very indifferent to us, and they stay back. I think it took probably a good 6 months in this area before they would actually stay in the creek bed and allow us to come into the entrance and then get a look at us before they would move off. You would hear them moving off the first 6 months probably. It took 50 expeditions before, and maybe 500 pounds of apples before they actually would just stand their ground, let us come in. They would look at us, and then you would hear them taking off. It would be a situation where they already had a setup of line of sight. So when you entered their field of view, you had to find that line of sight that they were on with the camera really quick before they moved off. And so they were always in a position where they were out in front of us. It wasn't until I figured out how to trap them in lanes like this that we started to catch them good. And I think without a doubt that, the Pavlovian kind of response they've given us is showing results. Basically, we dictate where they stand by where we throw the apple. All right, so right now I'm going to show you why you have such difficulty seeing these guys, okay? It's really all about their adaptations to the environment. I'm going to turn all the effects off first. Then we're going to go in and we're going to readjust the exposure. And what we come out with is this, right? Now I'm going to turn the crop off, and you can see where I'm standing. And then you can see why we don't see them. So, what do we have here, actually? What are we looking at? What we're looking at is a bunch of forests, right? We don't know that right in here is a juvenile skunk ape. We don't know that because he's achromatically coloration on his face. His achromatic coloration on his face is receiving diffused forest canopy sunlight. It's got green tones in it, beige tones in it. Anything you see here, all those colors are being picked up, combined with what is already in the sunlight to create what essentially, and I'm going to turn this back on so that you can see it, is a green-faced primate sitting in the bushes, just a part of the trees. Here he is right here. Now, if I apply my aberration filters, it's a different story. So if I come over here and I turn the effects back on, and then I re-expose the film a bit to add more light, and I increase the amount of contrast, we're back in looking at the individual with some clarity, and you can see his gray skin a little bit better throughout the frames. We've got the gray, but it's incredibly difficult to see the individual when he's aberrated and you don't have the benefit of all of your toys and your tricks. Because when we reset this and we turn everything off and you really see what we're up against to try to study these creatures, you get the picture. All right, so we're taking a look right now at a guy that's in the bushes, and you can just make out the dude's face, and like really, he's just laying in there. This dude is literally laying in there, and you know, we get some really cool frames. You can see he's got the squint going on there. You can see him even a little bit of a blink there. You can make out the entire face, and there he is, man, chubby old guy sitting in the bushes. If I'd have picked that apple up or reached down for it or moved towards it, would you be reading about me in Dave's next Missing 411 series? I ran. Would you be reading about me at all? Would they just sweep my disappearance under the proverbial carpet? Everybody would be like,
Damn, he was such a good researcher. Oh well. What's on TV next?
what would you say if he went missing? Then what, huh? Well, what if they found him? Would you even care? Huh? I don't know why everything's red. It's not working right now.